Speed Now with Aaron Nolan. From the Victory Studios in downtown Little Rock, this is Capitol View with your host, Jesse Tenor.
Good Sunday morning to you and welcome into Capitol View. I'm Jesse Tenor. This morning we'll dive into the immigration debate beyond just the fight over a border wall. Hear from an Arkansas mom fighting for change at the White House after her son was killed by an undocumented immigrant. Plus how immigration rights advocates are bracing for changes to state law. We begin with a new fight over schools in central Arkansas. A bill backed by Governor Hutchinson would fund private school vouchers for low-income students in Pulaski County. While supporters say it's a chance to create new opportunities, opponents say it's another attack on public education.
They have been to a Christian school, a Catholic school, they have been homeschooled, and they've been in the public schools.
Governor Asa Hutchinson's kids had a choice when it came to their education. He wants the same for more families in Arkansas. That's why Hutchinson is backing a new bill that would create the state's largest school choice program. It would fund private school vouchers for low-income students in Pulaski County. The news quickly spread on Twitter, receiving support from fellow Republicans. The state party tweeting, "Choice leads to opportunity. Opportunity leads to achievement." But it drew opposition from Democrats. State Senator Joyce Elliott, who represents Little Rock, tweeting, "Don't fall for bright, shiny objects. SB 620, the voucher bill called a scholarship in the name of choice, is just that." The bill would launch a 5-year pilot program to send around 500 kids to private schools. It would use about $3.5 million in taxpayer dollars a year from the governor's discretionary funds. The debate over the legislation's success continues next week as students and lawmakers return from spring break. The Legislative Black Caucus will replace its regularly scheduled meeting Monday with a press conference regarding the opposition to this bill and another in the works that could pave the way for Little Rock schools to return to local control. Despite bipartisan support and a thumbs up from the governor, a push to remove the Confederate significance from the Arkansas flag failed again this week. A House committee rejected another version of Representative Charles Blake's proposal as the debate again raged over how history should be commemorated.
A bill that can unite and move our state forward together.
Wearing the state flag on his chest, Representative Charles Blake made his case again about why the significance of the blue star above Arkansas should change from the Confederate States of America to the United States of America.
One could argue that the star was added to the flag not to honor the Confederate States of America, but to only honor the presence and prominence of white supremacy and terrorism in the state of Arkansas.
But a number of others testified against Blake.
Not myself nor any of the men sitting behind me bear hateful hearts. What we see occurring is an insult to our history, an insult to the men who marched and died for their state, and an affront to the education of history.
The bill would also change one of the 3 stars below Arkansas from representing the U.S. to Native American nations.
They were vicious, murdering savages.
From a legal standpoint, Representative Doug House told both sides of the debate, "You're wrong."
The real problem with this bill, it's telling people what they've got to think.
That's why House filed his own bill Wednesday that would remove all significance from the state flag, from the stars to the diamond. When it came time for the vote on Blake's bill, the same 5 lawmakers supported it again. The 4 Democrats on the committee and 1 Republican. No. 10 others voted no.
Representative Blake, your bill has failed.
Now, Representative Blake hasn't ruled out bringing up the proposal again and said it's also possible a similar one could run on the Senate side. This vote comes 2 years after Governor Hutchinson signed into law the bill he backed to remove Robert E. Lee from the state holiday honoring Martin Luther King Jr. House plans to run his bill to remove all significance from the flag this coming week. And we've got an update to a bill we discussed here last week. The revived push for new food stamp restrictions cleared its first hurdle this week. It would ban the purchase of soda and candy with SNAP benefits. Everyone who spoke for or against the bill in committee agreed Arkansas's high obesity rate is a problem. That's ultimately why the Healthy Active Arkansas board, comprised of many of the state's hospitals and health agencies, supports it. But groups like the Arkansas Hunger Relief Alliance oppose the bill, saying it stigmatizes SNAP recipients and makes it more difficult on retailers.
Based on the definition cited in this bill, both of these would actually be considered candy products. So my granola bar would be considered candy, my Snickers bar here would be considered candy. However, my Twizzlers over here would not be considered candy. You don't have to be a dietitian to recognize that this is not a healthy product.
A report that has been referenced in the legislation found those receiving food stamps do not necessarily have any less healthy a diet than their non-benefit receiving counterparts. As the 2020 presidential primary rolls along, Democratic candidates may now have more of a reason to look to Arkansas in the coming months. This week, the legislature passed a bill to move next year's primary elections up to the first Tuesday of March. That means Arkansas will be part of the Super Tuesday group, along with at least 10 other states, including Texas, Alabama, Tennessee, and California. It'll also be just 1 month after the first in the nation Iowa caucus. And coming up after a quick break, we'll revisit the ongoing debate over immigration, both in Arkansas and across the country. Hear from an Arkansas woman who was in the Oval Office as President Trump vetoed Congress's attempt to stop his emergency declaration at the border. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
The delicious fish sandwich from Sonic. It's 100% Alaska pollock smothered with tartar sauce and pickles on a brioche bun. Have we reeled you in yet? Did you catch that? The fish sandwich only at Sonic. Are you hooked?
Sold it. Absolute Real Estate Car and Gun Auction, Thursday, April 4th at 10 a.m. 2414 Diamond Bluff Road in Quitman, Arkansas. With a breathtaking 3,700 square foot home overlooking Greers Ferry Lake on 4 acres with 4 bedrooms and 3 bathrooms. Also selling a newly built 32 Ford Coupe in mint condition, 34 antique rare and collectible guns, including a museum quality 1866 signed Winchester. This incredible estate will be sold to the highest bidders live and online at wilsonauctioneers.com.
Sold it.
Success Vision has great prices, and you get them the same day.
Same-day service.
Same-day service.
Buying my glasses was so easy.
I got 2 pairs of No Lines for $99, and they were ready the same day.
The discount stores all said I had to wait days. I'm sorry, I just can't wait days for my glasses.
Being able to see is kind of important. Success Vision had them for me the same day.
2 pairs for $39 in an hour for less. Come see us today, Success Vision Express.
This is not one of those amateur SUVs. This is the SUV that defined sport utility. This is the most luxurious SUV in its class and the most awarded ever. This is the legendary Jeep Grand Cherokee. Celebrate Jeep Freedom Days with no payments for 90 days and $500 additional bonus cash on our best-selling vehicles.
Right now, get $3,750 total cash allowance on a 2019 Jeep Grand Cherokee.
Fried egg, crispy bacon, brioche bun. The brunch burger is a win because now I can have brunch whenever I want.
It's a real brunch of champions.
Oh, you referring to these old things?
No, I was referring to the burger.
Get the Sonic Brunch Burger or a quarter-pound double cheeseburger and tots for $2.99. Going fast.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. President Trump issued his first veto a week ago, rejecting the legislation to overturn his national emergency declaration to fund a border wall. This next week, the House will try to override it. Chuck Todd, the moderator of NBC's Meet the Press, joins me with a preview of that vote that's expected to fall short.
Well, Jesse, there is still one more hurdle for the president when it comes to declaring this national emergency and trying to redirect money towards building his wall, and that is going to be the Supreme Court. And the question's going to be, that this is going to reach the Supreme Court. And the question's going to be whether the Supreme Court is going to decide to weigh in on the issue of whether it was constitutional for the president to redirect money that Congress already said no to. That is the unique thing about this national emergency that no other president who did a national emergency has attempted to do, which is to actually redirect money that Congress specifically said no to.
Many joined Trump in the Oval to watch him sign the veto, the Vice President, Attorney General, Homeland Security Secretary, even an Arkansan. You first met Sabine Durden in 2017 when she shared her story with me about how her only child, Dominic, was killed by an undocumented immigrant in California in 2012. Nearly 7 years later, Sabine, a legal immigrant from Germany, still keeps her son's memory alive by making regular trips to Washington to fight for changes to immigration policy. She joins us now on the show to talk about her latest visit with the president. Welcome to the show, Sabine.
Nice to. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So first, just tell us about your experience in the Oval Office during that signing.
Oh, I'm still trying to find the words because it's always exciting. It's always exhilarating. It's such an honor to be in such a historic place and then to be there at such a historic event. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, and I haven't found a word for it yet, beside amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then who did you bring along with you, just in case people can't see it that well?
I always bring Dominic. Those are some of his ashes, and then I have some ashes in my little locket, and he always travels with me wherever I go.
And like we were saying, that's not the first time that we were in the same room with Trump, that you have spoken with Trump. So would you say that you and the other angel parents that you're usually with on these trips are one of the driving forces behind his actions on immigration?
I believe so, because he has a very close relationship with us. He remembers names. I'm Dom's mom to him. We always talk. He's very personable, and he takes our loss very serious. And the beauty about it is that he looks straight at us. He takes time for us, and he keeps his promises. He promised me 4 years ago that he told me that Dominic didn't die in vain.
He's also promised a wall to your face, and we still haven't seen one. So do you still expect that to happen?
Oh, absolutely. And there has been improvement. It's not finished. Well, we know why. There's a lot of roadblocks thrown his way, and I always tell people this is a bipartisan issue. It didn't matter what party Dominic belonged to or the other victims. It needs to happen for the security of America, and he's trying to do that, and I think both parties need to get together and finally get this done. It's a lot cheaper than losing more lives and having illegals here that drain our system for monies that belong to Americans that we paid into it, or stand in line like I had to, because I'm a legal immigrant. It took me 6 years, and I did it the lawful way, and so that's what I expect everybody else to do, and I pray and hope and hold on to that thought that everything will happen soon, so we won't have any more Dominics and no more grieving families.
Now, while this feuding continues over a potential border wall, is there anything else that you'd like to see done when it comes to immigration reforms?
Well, I like to take care of Americans first. I would like the border wall be done. I want them to close the loopholes. I don't want illegals that haven't paid into the system to draw Social Security, to be able to vote, to draw welfare. I had to sign paperwork that I couldn't draw welfare while I was becoming a citizen, while I was going through the process. Loopholes need to be closed. The wall needs to be definitely done. We need to clean up our act, and it might not, some people don't like it, but I also believe that DACA has been called unconstitutional and found unconstitutional, and I believe that people need to go and then come back the legal way. And some people say, well, it sounds, they've been here. No, just because somebody breaks into your house while you're not there for 3 weeks, that doesn't mean they become part of the family. We have laws, and they need to abide by them, and we need to enforce the laws we have on the books. Yeah.
Now, it took you 6 years to become a legal citizen. It takes other people longer, maybe some shorter. Do you think that something needs to be done with that process in general to make it shorter for people?
I think there could be some kind of shortcut for those where we really know where they're from. Maybe not have it drawn out for 20 years, because I talked to immigrants that still have family members that couldn't make it here. So I think there's a way to work with that, but we got to clean this up here first, and we just can't have illegal aliens in our country. The word alone means something, illegal. If I break the law, I go to prison. The guy who killed Dominic spent 35 days. There is a double standard, and it needs to stop. Yeah.
And then I wanted to ask you about this too. Earlier this month, CNN released some findings that profiled a former ICE deportation officer based in Little Rock and his termination for foregoing supervisor signatures on arrest warrants for undocumented immigrants. He told CNN that he would look through jail rosters searching for people who may be deportable before doctoring an arrest warrant, and said that he wasn't the only officer doing this. What do you think needs to be done, and how do you think people on both sides of the immigration debate should digest something like this, since it happened here in our capital city?
Well, first of all, that's horrible. I disagree with it. He broke the law, whether he was law enforcement or not. And so they need to flush out the bad apples, whether it's in law enforcement, our patrols out there, anybody in law enforcement. The good ones need to stay, the bad ones need to be called out and punished accordingly, because that's not right either. I'm all about law and order, and we do have laws on the books, and they need to follow them as well. And I hope he gets punished to the highest extent of the law.
Now, I know that you brought up DACA, and you do pay attention a lot to what's going on in Arkansas politics as well. The legislature is in session. We've been talking about that for a while. When it comes to DACA, I know that they've been gaining support, passing legislation to help DACA recipients become licensed teachers and nurses. You've been critical of those measures, though.
Very critical, because I always tell the story about if I take my child and break into Disneyland, my child doesn't get to stay when they catch us. They have to go. My child has to go, I have to go. The parents broke the law. So now the children, okay, I don't blame them, but they're still here illegally. Now, what we're going to do, keep the DACA children here, or, well, now they are adults, and then what we're going to do with the parents who blatantly broke our laws. And there might be reasons of violence in their country or financial gain coming here. That doesn't really matter. The law still states you cannot enter a country illegally. And while there are many stories that are heart-wrenching and heartbreaking, I still go back to, I had to follow the law to come here. I couldn't drag my son here and just claim amnesty or anything else. I had to go through it step by step, and I think that needs to change as well. So yeah, I'm harsh on that. Yeah, I don't give a break. They can be German, Swedish, from Mexico, from Guatemala. I don't care what color anybody is. The word illegal means against the law, and that's what I stand with.
Okay, well, Sabine, thank you so much for making the drive. I know it's about a 2-hour drive for you to come see us, so we appreciate it.
It was an honor to be here with you, Jesse. Thank you so much.
All right, and stay with us. When we come back, we'll look at the other side of this debate and talk to an immigration rights activist about the border wall fight and legislation that affects immigrants right here in Arkansas. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
All right.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Absolute Real Estate and Personal Property Auction. 8500 Edgemont Road in Greersbury, Arkansas. Tract 1 is 4.5 acres with over 300 feet of highway frontage. A 20,000 square foot commercial boat dealership in excellent condition. Tract 2 is 6.5 acres with a fenced and gated 92-unit boat storage facility. Offered separately, pontoon boats, ski boats, fishing boats, Ford and Chevrolet trucks, Mahindra tractor, Mossberg, Browning, Remington, and Beretta guns. Everything is sold regardless of price on auction day. Go to wilsonauctioneers.com.
Sold it, sold it, sold it. Sold it, sold it, sold it.
When my father passed away, we had to move his estate. So we contacted Wilson Auctioneers, and things that would have taken us a year to do gets done in 30 days.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Do you want another truck, or a truck like no other? One that makes people say, they put what in that truck? One that has capabilities you can't find in other trucks and ushers in a whole new age. The all-new Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year. For deals like no other, come in now during Ram Truck Month.
Or get an average $15,700 in total values on select 2019 Ram 1500 Classic models in dealer stock.
Join us for the Victory Walk, Saturday, March 30th.
We'll walk to celebrate the good in our neighborhood.
After the walk, we'll have a family-friendly event with foods, kids' activities, a DJ, and giveaways.
Together, we can declare victory over violence.
Ever since I was 5 years old, it's been all about football. It's been about running, jumping, blocking, tackling. I have terrible foot issues that prevented me from really having a normal life with my kids. With the Good Feet Arch Supports, man, I'm always ready. My kids actually got to enjoy me in the yard more, racing each other, backpedaling, teaching them some things, being a dad.
Try them for yourself with a free arch support fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. You just heard the hardline stance on the immigration debate. And joining me from Alabama with another perspective is Mariah Reith, Executive Director of Arkansas United Community Coalition. When we shared Sabine's story on the show a while back, we also brought you on to respond to some of her comments, and that was already in 2017, and a lot has changed since then, but we still haven't seen a Trump wall.
That's correct, although based on the veto that we saw this last week, definitely looks like efforts might be moving forward, and one that gives us great concern, both as Arkansans, but also as immigrants, because once again, we believe a wall is a wasteful investment that is going to do nothing to solve the real immigration problems that we have in this state and country.
And so, yeah, like you said, with him, you know, signing that veto, the House, though, is expected to try to override it this next week. If the 2/3 isn't there, which is predicted, what do you want the next step to be?
Well, we definitely are calling on all of our congressmen and senators, including ours from Arkansas, to continue with the bipartisan energy that they really brought into weighing the legality, but also the meaning of what President Trump's emergency declaration means, not just in regards to immigration, but our Constitution and the role of Congress versus our president. And so we hope that Congress won't relent, and we definitely are going to continue our calls to them. And beyond that, we really do call on the leadership of everyone in this state and in this country to keep calling for practical immigration reform that really has a chance at fixing our problems, like H.R. 6 that also was introduced this last week, the Dream and Promise Act, that actually tries to propose solutions to the tough issues and really look at our vulnerable communities like our kids, like those who've been here with legal status and now are losing those opportunities to be able to stay in this country and work.
Mm-hmm. And then, I mean, if you could have access to the president, like a lot of these angel parents like Sabine do, what's potential? How do you see a conversation going down? What would you express exactly to him?
Now, what we would definitely want to express to President Trump that we share with him the priority that is immigration reform. But we really have to look at real solutions. And as a businessman who is based in data and results, all analysis points to a wall being a wasteful investment that really does nothing for our community. When there's practical solutions and bipartisan support before us. So we ask that he gets with his party, including our congressmen and senators here in Arkansas, and look at those solutions that are already there, that already have proven track record. And he was sent to Washington, D.C. to get something done. That was his promise. And now he has this opportunity to do so. But do something that's actually meaningful and that will help and doesn't only reaffirm biases, doesn't support wasteful investments, something that can actually put our communities and our country first.
And I asked Sabine about this too, so I wanted to get your reaction. But the firing of a Little Rock-based ICE deportation officer for forgoing supervisor signatures on arrest warrants for undocumented immigrants, that came out earlier this month. How should people on both sides of the immigration debate digest this information, this story from CNN?
No, we are getting to digest it directly here in Arkansas based on local politics and what recently has happened. Seeing in the city of Little Rock, the presentation of a resolution that would have looked at anti-sanctuary policies, and there's a comparable bill right now in the Senate. And unfortunately, what these policies do is discourage conversations between local law enforcement and ICE. And the news that we found, not only about the illegal signing of warrants and paperwork that advances deportation, but also the news that came out this week about a clandestine center where Arkansas youth are being held in Fordyce. And we need checks on immigration in this moment. There are individuals that are more interested in deportation numbers than looking at due process and the humanity of the situation. And that's exactly why we need these conversations and why it is unproductive to have conversations around issues that aren't even happening here in Arkansas. No one's talking about building sanctuaries. All we want is the opportunity to be able to build bridges with our law enforcement, have the conversations we need to about best practices, and create accountability that protects the rights of all of us. Because if you fringe on the rights of one group, you are negatively impacting all groups.
Now, the fate of DACA still hangs in the balance across the country on the federal level and everything, but you've at least been able to have a conversation here in Arkansas, and a successful one at that, when it comes to the Arkansas legislative session. I know that your group has been working on the bills to make sure that DACA recipients can be licensed teachers and nurses. There was also this other in-state tuition equity bill. So talk on some of those measures, too.
No, we couldn't be more excited to see the bipartisan support and leadership that's happening right now in the legislature as related to our Dreamers. This is a moment that's been 14 years in the making that was originally started by Governor Huckabee all the way back in 2007. And so definitely it's an exciting moment where it's been our Dreamers themselves, our children, who've been so great to share their stories with anyone that would listen. And right now, we honestly do feel that we're being listened to by legislators on both sides that know that this isn't an immigration issue. This is purely an equity issue, an economic development issue, an education issue that really gives us the opportunity here in Arkansas to do what our state legislature has the power to do, which really is about making sure that every student gets to achieve their potential. And now we have finally hoped that that may be the case with our Dreamers. We're going to have our biggest test this week with the Senate. So far, the House has been extremely supportive and the leadership there, but we're hoping that our senators will also fall in line. And we've been having several active conversations with the governor's office, who historically has expressed great empathy for our Dreamers, and we hope that he will do so once again.
Okay, Mariah, we'll keep an eye on that, too. Thank you so much for joining us back on the show.
Thank you. Thanks.
We're back to wrap it all up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
Greers Ferry Lake Home and Personal Property Auction, Thursday, March 28th at 11 a.m. at 269 Lakeview Road in Edgemont, Arkansas. Offering a beautiful 4,000 square foot, 5-bedroom, 4-bathroom home on Greers Ferry Lake in Thunder Bay subdivision with a 3-car garage, 2 large back decks, gazebo with built-in hot tub and fireplace. Also selling a 2013 Cobalt 242 ski boat, Tahoe ski boat, 2 fifth-wheel campers, Mercedes convertible, tools, furniture, and much more. Everything is selling regardless of price. Go to WilsonAuctioneers.com.
Sold it, sold it, sold it.
A lot of car companies are making SUVs, but only one makes the most awarded, the best-selling, and the icon, Motor Trend's 2019 SUV of the Year. Celebrate Jeep Freedom Days with no payments for 90 days and $500 additional bonus cash on our best-selling legendary Jeep SUVs.
Now finance and get $4,500 total cash allowance on the 2019 Jeep Cherokee.
Why not mix it up? Change the channel. Make the switch to KARK.
Let us change your mind. 604 is your
KARK4, local news that matters. You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
That does it for today's show. Don't forget, you can now take Capitol View on the go. Download the Capitol View podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And we're back with an all-new Capitol View next week. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.